Update. Am I the a-hole for abruptly cutting my ex-fiancé out of my life? Original post. I, male 25, met my now ex-fiancé in my first year of college. We were both 18 and went from friends to lovers pretty quickly. We clicked so well, and everything was so easy and effortless. We had a really good relationship. It's the kind of relationship that everyone wishes they were in. The kind of relationship that people idolized and said, if those two broke up, then love doesn't exist. You get the picture. For the purpose of this post, let's call my ex Ashley. Ashley was everything I was looking for in a woman. Funny, smart, attractive, down-to-earth, and family-oriented. She wanted to build a life together. Our families got close over the course of our relationship. It was like we were already one big family before even getting married. As planned, I popped the question a year ago not knowing that this would change everything. She said yes, of course, but things started to change. Slowly but surely, over the months, she became more distanced. I tried to ignore it and chalked it up to nervousness. You know, cold feet before taking the big marriage plunge. I should have trusted my instincts. She always went out with her group of friends on the weekends. I've been on these outings before. Usually it's clubbing and drinking. It's not my scene, but I trusted my girl, so I had no problem with her going without me. These outings became much more frequent after I popped the question. I tried to ignore my gut feeling that something was wrong about this. I should have listened. Last week, I got a text from one of her girlfriends. She said she feels super guilty about what's been going on. According to her, Ashley has been worried about getting married. She feels that she hasn't had a chance to explore other options, and the prospect of getting locked down for life made her really anxious. At these outings, she will frequently flirt with guys, dance with them, grind on them, make out with them to get it out of her system. Since she wasn't sleeping with them, she didn't consider it cheating. According to the friend, she also went down on a guy in the club bathroom. She sent me pictures and videos from some of those escapades. My heart sank. I felt like I died that day. I thanked the friend for telling me and told her to keep it between us. For me, any form of cheating is a big no-no. I knew it was over. What makes this worse is that I have a past with cheating. She knows about my high school ex who cheated on me, and being a stupid teenager, I tried to end it all. This just makes this whole situation cut even deeper. She knows how much hurt she could cause, and still went ahead with it. I wanted to crawl into bed and cry for a month. I wanted to be weak. I felt weak. But I decided I would give myself the chance to mourn and cry over this after I protect myself. Me and my fiancé share an apartment that we both pay rent for 50-50. I decided to take 2 days off work and covertly started to move my things out to my brother's house across the city. He knows about everything and immediately offered his place to me. The first day I moved non-essential items out. When Ashley got back from work, she made a comment about it, but I brushed it off by saying I sold some stuff and took some more stuff to a storage unit to tidy and clear space up in our apartment. She didn't question it. I was furious on the inside about everything that I found out about, but kept cool to avoid suspicion. She noticed I was a bit withdrawn, but I told her I was just tired and stressed from work. The second day, while she was at work, my brother and his wife came over to help me pack everything else, and I was fully moved out by 3 p.m. that day. Since then, I have avoided every single form of communication sent by my ex. I have completely cut her off. I refuse to talk to her or her family. I don't even want to confront her about what happened. She came home that day and saw everything was gone. She texted all my friends and family who in turn texted me, but I only responded to my parents, who are fully behind me in my decision. Her family and friends are blowing up my phone and saying that I'm an a-hole for leaving without a word. They've even been blasting me on social media. I don't really care. She knows what she did. To me, she is dead. She doesn't exist. Because of all this backlash, my brother and his wife are now also questioning if it was right of me to completely ignore everyone. This has caused me to doubt myself a bit, so here I am. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. She knows what she did. You might want to tell everyone so they get off your back. I wouldn't go into details. She cheated. She's not telling anyone. OP doesn't want to be harassed. Please give space. OP is trying to just ghost her. That was really stupid. Even if he's trying to be non-confrontational. He should have dumped her, requested she stick to the truth when discussing with mutual friends as he has evidence, but obviously she can be vague. If he completely turtles and disappears, she will try to write a narrative where OP is the villain and will have time to spread her version. OP deserves his engagement ring back and his share of the deposit on the apartment. Not the a-hole. Fiancé going down on random dudes in bathrooms? Nah, dump and block is the only thing to do. I also vote to send her parents the evidence of her cheating and to just tell others she cheated. No, WTF. The parents and siblings didn't do anything wrong, and it's pretty messed up to subject them to seeing an image or video of their child they may never wish to have seen. Verbally letting them know that their child had been unfaithful is fine. There is zero need to post the proof to everyone. Pretty messed up thing to do, and her actions do not justify that. Send her one message. Tell your family to back off and leave me alone. You know what you did, and unless you want me to send them all proof of what a lying, cheating POS you are, you will tell them to back off. Then block her. Why warn? Just do it and grab popcorn. Mini update. An overwhelming amount of people have convinced me to reach out to her parents and give them an explanation to clear my name. I will update when I get a chance tomorrow. Thank you for the responses. Now for the full update. After an overwhelming amount of people screamed at me in the comments to speak out, I decided to break my silence. I didn't want to make this whole thing public. Despite what she did, some part of me still cares for her. I was with her for 6 years. You can't just throw that away overnight. I came to the conclusion that the right thing to do was to talk to her parents. Only her family needed to know. Everyone else can have whatever opinion they want of me. I don't care. The people who truly know me and are close to me are the only ones I care about. I sent a detailed message of what happened to my closest friends and family. All of them, of course, believed me right away. No pictures needed. I didn't feel like it was necessary or appropriate to spread those pictures of her, so I didn't. Now that the people I cared about were sorted, I moved on to her parents. I messaged her mom, who, by the way, I had gotten so close to I considered her the second mom, and she considered me a son. She was very upset with me, but agreed to meet up. I felt like this needed to be an in-person conversation rather than Inuka drop in an email with everyone they know CC'd. I met her mom and her dad at a diner we used to frequent for breakfast. I know, so cliché. It was quite emotional. They were understandably upset. They didn't do anything wrong, and I cut them out of my life like nothing happened. I understood why they were upset, so when they were confronting me, I was very quiet, just listening, letting them get it all out. I admit I was tearing up with them. That is, until they accused me of some things. It's been a whole week since all of this went down. In that week, a lot happened. Apparently, according to her parents, my ex convinced everyone that I cheated and that she kicked me out. And I haven't been answering anyone because I was so ashamed of what I had done. Lol, I literally laughed out loud. I responded by saying that I am sorry and I wished them a happy life and walked out. I was so freaking upset. I couldn't even have imagined of being accused of this. What a freaking joke. I can't believe her parents would believe her and throw me under the bus so fast. I walked out because I'm pretty sure I would have said some things I'd regret to her parents. I didn't want to do this, but she left me no choice. I activated a nuclear option. I went home, made an email titled "For Your Reading Pleasure," and attached every picture her friend sent me, including screenshots of the chat with her friend where she expressed how guilty she felt about the cheating. I also attached the videos of her grinding and making out with other guys. I included a long explanation detailing everything that has happened since D-Day. I ended the email by saying that I do not wish to be contacted and that I expect my ring back at some point. I attached her, her parents, any friend I could think of, and a coworker that I just so happened to know as well. Screw it. So that's where I'm at now. I may be the a-hole for sending that email, but she really tested my freaking limits when I found out what she was telling people. I have zero regrets. Currently crashing at my brother's place on a pull-out couch. He's helping me get through this, as much as one can guess. Who knows what kind of fallout that email will create. Either way, I'm gonna sit back and enjoy it with popcorn, whilst subbing. That is why people on Reddit insists you tell people immediately, because usually when a cheater, after a long relationship involving family and common friends, they realize the future consequences. So it's easy to decide and manipulate people around her so she can move on easier when no one knows why you did what you did. Yeah, I was the one of the comments who said he needed to tell the family at least about what happened. If the ex is capable of cheating behind his back, she's capable of doing this. Though I suggest putting screenshots of the messages and snippets before the act. I'm not surprised her parents chose the ex. I mean, that's their daughter. Regardless who came first, there's a chance they'll pick her side. Now, this is kind of confusing because OP said everyone were calling him an a-hole for just moving out all of a sudden, and now the ex is saying she kicked him out? My reading comprehension skills may be off, but I'm just confused why they'd be calling him an a-hole for moving out without a word, if they knew that she kicked him out. Unless she told them much later on, which should have raised suspicions. I'm thinking they're mad at him for moving out because they think he gave up and didn't apologize according to them. Wholeheartedly, I feel that you did the right thing with this. Pulling nonsense like this is never okay, and trying to throw you under the bus should always come with consequences. My heart goes out to you, OP. She is their daughter after all, and they did try to contact you. I recognize why they reached out and why they believe their daughter. Still, OP and even his brother and wife were getting harassed by people he chose to cut out. OP seemed to not want to stir the pot and chose to just leave the situation because he didn't want anything to do with it anymore. But his ex throwing him under the bus, lying and ruining his reputation, leading to him getting harassed for an extended period of time by multiple people, even to the point where his family is getting harassed, isn't okay. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help with my child? Years ago, when I was a freshman in college, I got my then-girlfriend pregnant accidentally. Typically, we used a combination of the pill and rubbers, but that night we decided to go without, and unfortunately, her hormonal birth control failed. She didn't realize she was pregnant until it was too late for Plan B. I assumed there would be a termination as we had discussed the possibility of exactly this scenario before in our relationship, and both agreed at a time it would be what we wanted. Unfortunately, when push came to shove, she decided to go back on that and press forward with a pregnancy. I was not on board and let her know that. Later, testing showed that the child would be disabled. At that point, I told her very frankly yet again that I absolutely did not want this burden. I reminded her that we had agreed on a termination even had the child had been healthy, and I said, in no uncertain terms, that if she decided to press forward with us unilaterally, I would live up to my bare minimum legal obligations and do no more than that. I advised her that being an effectively single mother to a heavily disabled child, requiring lifelong care, would be far more difficult than she seemed to realize, and that no version of reality would this ever lead to the two of us building the happy family I think she was imagining. She disregarded that entirely and brought the baby to term. I saw him exactly once. In the end, her parents legally adopted the child. My rights and obligations were terminated at the time. I lost touch with her, but went on to graduate and have the life I wanted now. I recently heard from her for the first time since the adoption, after she found me on Facebook. Since then, she hasn't done as well for herself. Unfortunately, both of her parents have passed. Her father died of COVID a few years back, and sadly, her mother passed in a car accident a few weeks ago. She's now responsible for her son/adoptive brother, and doesn't have the resources to handle him. Apparently, the care for her son was extremely costly even with insurance, and they weren't able to leave much. He's completely incapable of any degree of independence. He's profoundly mentally disabled and can't even feed himself or use a toilet. I told her that I would not be getting involved under any circumstances, advised her to look into any government assistance or charity that her parents may have overlooked, and to see if having him put in some kind of facility would be feasible. I was very firm about her not contacting me again, and I blocked her. My wife agrees with me wholeheartedly about not burdening ourselves with this, but she suggested we might have an ethical obligation to send some money to help with the situation. I disagree, and I'm afraid that giving anything at all will be like feeding seagulls. I want nothing to do with it at all. This isn't a serious conflict between us, but I just want to know if her point has merit. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You might be the biological father, but the boy was formally adopted by his grandparents, and that meant that they were his legal parents. As you say, your rights and legal obligations were terminated at the time, and therefore you aren't required to step up now after all these years. Maybe offer to help find appropriate care for the boy. It sounds like his physical needs are greater than what his mother/sister can handle alone, never mind the financial headaches. But you aren't under any obligation to help out. I have a feeling that if you gave money, she would keep coming back for more. It's sad, but your ex was aware of your position and what the child's future was likely to be, and she still chose to keep the baby. Without her parents' practical and financial assistance anymore, she needs to get her brother into a home where he can receive the help he needs. Your ex should also receive social security payments since the son/brother was legally the son of now deceased parents. Yes, The kid should get survivor benefits for both of his parents along with disability payments via Social Security, assuming they are in the US. If not, I know most other countries have similar programs for the disabled. The child would be obligated for survivor benefits or disability, whichever is greater. With the death of the mother, the survivor benefits could increase but isn't guaranteed. One of those situations where I absolutely thought Opie would be the a-hole, but Opie, I'm now nodding my head in full agreement with you. It was her body carrying the child and her choice to bring a profoundly disabled person into the world. Not a whole lot you could say about that at a time, but it was the choice of her parents to adopt him themselves, thus absolving you of legal responsibility. This is a tough situation, but you also predicted a lot of what actually did come true. You know that raising this kid would be a monumental feat. You never wanted that burden yourself, and you opted out when you could. I don't blame you one bit, and you're not the a-hole. If Opie does decide to lean toward offering anything at all, it should not be done without consulting an attorney. Absolutely, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to consult with a family law attorney, regardless. Update. After reading the advice given in the comments, I decided the best course of action was to continue my policy of refusing any direct involvement in the situation. However, as she explained to me that she was unable to care for the boy on her own, I phoned social services in her state and reported a vulnerable person not being adequately cared for. I was contacted for a follow-up and provided copies of her messages. Update. Am I the a-hole for threatening to take legal action against my ex-wife's stepdaughter if she doesn't pay for the gift she broke? Original post. I, male 38, have been separated from my ex-wife for almost 14 years. She's married now and has 2 stepdaughters, and this one involved the older one, Anna, 17 I think. Our older daughter, Diane, female 16, is really into calligraphy. My parents gave her a Japanese calligraphy brush as a gift for having a great school year. We came back from a trip and left them with her mother. I was just getting home when my youngest called me to return. Once there, they were having an argument and my ex-wife and her wife were trying to mediate. Diane said that Anna stole her brush and broke it. Anna says she took it with permission from Diane, which is a lie, and we checked, and she accepted breaking it, but replaced it with another one, a cheap one. My ex-wife and her wife claimed that it was not a big deal and Anna replaced it. I disagree, and told them that either Anna or them have to order a new one or give them money for us to do it. They were willing to do it, until Diane told them how much it would cost, $3,000. That's when they flipped the lid and said why I'm buying something that expensive. I told them it's none of their business or the point. Besides, it was a gift from my parents, not mine. They refused and said they can't do it without taking a hit in their finances. I told them that I don't care, and they need to pay for it or I would take legal action against Anna since she admitted to taking it and breaking it. I told them to be quick because the brushes are limited. Our daughters decided to come with me and took their important things with them. Now my ex-wife, her parents and her wife are blasting my phone saying I would ruin Anna's future, and that I'm putting our daughters against them and ruining their relationship. We've been co-parenting really well, but I don't know. I think I'm being reasonable. She's not a kid anymore. Now for the top comments before reading the update. They wouldn't be shocked if it was a high-end tablet, would they? Just because they don't value the value of the item doesn't mean it doesn't have a value. Good luck getting the value back. Not stay whole. She didn't lend her the brush. Anna said that but isn't true. It's funny how she lies about asking/borrowing it, as if that will undo all the mess she got herself into. The pen could be worth $1. It could be worth $1 million. She's gonna have to suck it up and pay for her mistake regardless. If I steal a car off the Enterprise lot and total it, I'm liable for the damages, not to mention the consequences of any crimes I committed in obtaining the car. If I legally rent the car and total it, then guess what? I'm still liable for the damages. Not stay home. Anna is 17, not 7, almost an adult. She's old enough to know that she doesn't take something that doesn't belong to her. By the way, I believe a limited edition brush can cost $3,000. Like we see Balenciaga charging $1,800 for a trash bag, lol. Doesn't matter what the cost is. Legally, a person is responsible for replacement cost.
If it costs $18,000 to replace a trash bag and people have a problem with that, then they shouldn't mess with $18,000 trash bags. Kinda simple. And now for the update. I never thought this would get so much attention. I'm still going through the comments, but I'm going to clarify a few points and give you an update. Why Diane brought the brush to her mother's. She has a neighbor friend whose hobby is painting. Diane's friend has a nice brush collection, and she took it to show it to her. Why did she leave the brush at her mother's? She stays a week with her mother. She has left other valuable things, either sentimental or monetary, and nothing has happened. Until now. Why I allowed her to move it around? It has to do with how my parents raised me. You are the one in charge of your stuff, no one else. You're the one who puts the value in them. That's why I have always let my daughters do as they want with their things, the same way my parents taught my siblings and I. She understands this kind of brush is not something to just play with. She agrees that she was careless as she wasn't planning to use it, but to start her own collection, the same way her friend and I do. I can't blame her though. She was comfortable with them and there was no precedent. The relationship with her step-family. They're not close but they're civil. They never clicked, but they agreed to respect each other and their things. How we find out Anna lied? Simple. When she said she got permission via text, I asked her to show us and my ex and her mother asked for her phone. She could have lied but folded. She said she took it and broke it but didn't say why. The price. My ex knew the price but not her wife. Both knew it was a gift from my parents. My ex-wife decided to play dumb because she didn't tell her wife about the price. For the doubters, I understand because not many are interested in handwriting or calligraphy. Brushes and pens can cost hundreds or even thousands because they are made with limited or rare materials by a craftsman with decades of experience. It is an art itself. You can Google it if you can/want. The brush. I need to talk to my parents if they still have the receipt so I can contact the manufacturers and see what can be done. My hopes are slim to none. To say the brush is broken is to put it mildly. It has basically to be remade. Now for what transpired yesterday. We returned home and we talked after they calmed down. I asked them if I was missing something or if something changed, etc. They said everything was pretty much the same, but Diane and Lily said they might know the reason why Anna did it. During the week they stayed with her mother. Anna said to all of them that her boyfriend's birthday was coming up, and she wanted to gift him something special. She asked my youngest, let's call her Lily, if she could play the guitar while she sang a song to him and Lily refused. Lily says that Anna took it well and didn't make a big deal. Then 2 days before I picked them up, Anna asked Diane if she could make a big poster, and Diane refused. But unlike Lily, she offered her to do something small. Diane says that Anna declined her offer and didn't make a big deal. Why they refused? The boyfriend's birthday was when they were going to be on a trip with me, last week, and both told Anna about it. I asked them if they knew about the finances of her mother. They said she's still working, and also her wife, so definitely not struggling. That's why both of them are mad at her mother because she or her wife could have paid for the brush. They don't understand why she acted like that. Knowing this, I asked her what she wanted to do. She listened to my threat and I told her I mean it. I was going to buy the brush and force them to pay me back. She asked me to wait and see what they do in the next days. Now for what happened today. I received 2 calls early in the morning, one from ex-wife and the other from Anna's father asking to meet. The father came first. He said his youngest daughter called him and told him what happened. Him and I talked for a little bit, and by the looks of it, there are bigger issues. But the man apologized to Diane for Anna's behavior and paid for the brush. The rest came after. Anna apologized first and said why she did it. She took the brush instead of another out of revenge. She tried to use it to do the poster for her boyfriend, and because she's not as good as her, she destroyed it in a fit of rage. Once calm, she saw her mistake and looked for another one online. She saw how much it cost and decided to buy a cheap one. She never told anyone what she did until Diane returned. Anna's mother apologized to Diane and also to Lily. They both left after that. My wife remained. She apologized to Diane and Lily and said she acted the way she did because this could kill the little to none relationship they have as sisters. But the result was worse and she regrets it. Diane and Lily told her that everything could be fine if they paid for the brush and apologized right then and there. She could have ended with 1 upset daughter. She has now 3. They said that now they don't feel secure there and have no plans to return. My ex-wife said she was going to do anything to solve it and proposed family therapy again, but both of them refused. They said that they could meet somewhere else, but at least not for now. They left us alone. We talked mostly about logistics and a few things I wanted to confirm. Lastly, I talked with my daughters again and both still are pretty upset. The relationship with her mother took a major hit and they're not happy with how it was resolved, and neither do I. We're going to see my parents in the upcoming days. Diane wants to talk with them about the money before buying another brush. Thank you for taking your time. I try to cover as much as I could, but I will try to answer if you have questions. She could have ended with one upset daughter and now she has 3. Harsh, but true. Taking others' stuff and breaking it and buying a cheap one to replace it. Wow, parents tries to correct mistakes. But Opie's ex-wife was a terrible mother. You are not entitled to others' stuffs. To be fairly fair, if my son made a $3,000 oopsie, I'd be looking for financial compromise myself. Even to someone well-off, that's a freaking huge chunk of money. That's my entire savings. She said she acted the way she did because this could end the little to non-relationship they have as sisters. Yes, because the one thing everyone knows about siblings/step-siblings is that showing obvious favoritism to one of them by not punishing them for breaking another one's extremely expensive possessions is guaranteed to make everyone get along better. Ex-wife can't even give an honest apology. She acted the way she did because she chose her wife and stepdaughter over her own daughter. It had nothing to do with preserving their sisterly bond. It was all about preserving her own bond with a new wife. Yep, I'm thinking this is not the first incident. The way it feels is that this was the straw that broke the camel's back for the 2 daughters. I don't care if it's a $20 brush. You don't mess with someone else's brushes. I'm not into calligraphy. I'm not even a real painter. I paint Warhammer miniatures, which is basically 3D coloring. But I don't really let anyone else use my brushes, and I wouldn't feel comfortable using anyone else's. The ex-wife definitely messed up, but a 17-year-old should know better. It is so easy to ruin a brush even without having a fit of rage, whether it's getting paint in the ferrule or just improperly cleaning. The higher the quality of the brush, the more you have to take care of it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling my brother an inconsiderate, insecure, pompous prick? My brother and I are not very close. I can tolerate him if need be, but I think he struggles in many social situations. He can't seem to read basic social cues and makes many inappropriate comments and jokes. He has strong opinions about everything, jumps to unreasonable conclusions, and never lets things go. My wife and his wife have been friends for years. My wife doesn't like my brother much, but she's very polite and courteous towards him for the sake of my sister-in-law. My wife and I lost our 3-year-old son about a year ago. His death was sudden and there is not a day that goes by where I don't grieve him. There will never come a day, hour, minute, or second that I'll stop loving or thinking about my son. In my family, talking about a dead child makes people uncomfortable and is almost treated as taboo. I'm not too fond of this culture and I have been candid about going to therapy, counseling sessions, support groups, etc. My wife and I started going to marriage therapy after the loss of our son. My family believes that we are going to couples counseling because our marriage is failing or my wife isn't satisfying me enough. This could not be further from the truth, and I think it's a bit disgusting and ridiculous. My sister-in-law invited my wife and I for a nice dinner at their place to celebrate my wife's birthday. Most of my family would be there, and she promised us no drama and or unnecessary comments. We got there and it was nice at first. Everyone was being respectful and I was having fun. Near the end, a few people gave my wife small gifts. We were planning to open them at home and react privately, but my brother was very adamant about seeing my wife's reaction to his gift. He was so sure that he had the best gift and wanted my wife to open his gift in front of everyone. Nothing could have prepared me for his present. He gave her a baby's romper meant for a newborn boy and an expensive set of lingerie. I was so shocked. When she looked at him, he laughed and said it was to motivate her to bring a spark back into the marriage. Everyone was speechless, until my wife politely thanked everyone for coming and then left, leaving my brother's gift. I told my brother that the gift was wrong and incredibly inappropriate. He started to get defensive and very aggressive, so in anger, I called him an inconsiderate, insecure, pompous prick. My sister-in-law, as well as few other family members, told me that even if the gift was in bad taste, I shouldn't have called him names and provoked him. I may be the a-hole for the unnecessary name-calling. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. The names you called your brother were the perfect description of his personality. Cut off any personal contact with him until he apologizes to your wife. I am truly sorry for your loss. For my own peace of mind, I won't be speaking to him for a long, long time. I think that is the best choice. And don't be afraid to do the same to other family members who enable his horrible behavior. You and your wife have my sympathy. What you're going through is beyond awful, and I hope the future brings some peace and comfort for you both. What you said to your brother was absolutely correct. Strange that he can do as he wishes, and that's fine. But you're reacting as provoking him? Did he not provoke you and your wife with the cruel, tasteless jokes of his gifts? Either one alone would be foul and wildly inappropriate, but together, the two gifts are beyond pale. I might be choosy about spending time with him at all in the future, especially if your wife is there if I were you. Not today, Hall, but your brother and anyone who defends his disgusting behavior definitely are. One note, it sounds from the way that you describe him that your brother could be neurodivergent. That's no freaking excuse. Plenty of people struggle with social cues, but they still have the sense to learn from experience how to not hurt people. What he did was hurtful, not funny or clever or cool. Agree that is probably on a spectrum, but that was just cruel. Not today, Hall. You were incredibly tame in your response. I would have read him to filth, drag queen style. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for buying my granddaughter more expensive gifts than my grandson? I have many grandchildren, but this is about the oldest ones. Jake 18 and Maya 18. They're cousins, not siblings. 18th birthdays are very important in our family. So for Jake's 18th birthday, I told him I will buy him whatever he wants. As long as it's reasonable, of course. He told me he needs a new phone, so I bought one for him which costed me around $1,000. I encouraged him to choose other gifts as well, but he said it's enough. For Maya's 18th birthday, I did the same thing, and told her to choose whatever she wants. She gave me a list of the things that she wanted, and it costed me about $7,000. I was a bit unsure whether I should buy them or not, but decided that it would be unfair if I don't buy it because Jake had the same offer and he chose not to get anything else. Jake's father, my son, was very angry at Maya's birthday. He said I'm showing favoritism. I tried to explain to him that I'm not because Jake had the same offer. His argument was that I raised Maya. Her parents worked a lot and I was basically her babysitter. While I didn't have as much contact with Jake, his mom was a stay-at-home mom. So naturally, Maya would be closer to me and it would be easier for her to ask me for things. You're the a-hole. While you gave them a choice, which is nice, you should have decided that each one of them would get an equal value of gifts. If you spent $1,000 on one, that should have been a cap for the other. No one told you you had to buy all the gifts on Maya's list. You made that choice. Or do what my grandma does and give the cash value to even it out. Sure, I mean, whatever they would want to do is up to them. Ultimately, it should be equal. You're the a-hole for not capping the offer. I mean, really? Who asks for $7,000 worth of birthday items and actually gets them? When I tell my two kids to pick stuff, one will be polite and the other will shoot for the moon. If the ambitious one gets everything she asks for, the polite one will get upset because she didn't realize asking for so much was even an option. It's not the polite one's fault, and she is not wrong for being upset. As a parent, I either have to set a limit and treat them equally, or let the ambitious one pick first so the polite one realizes the upper limit is higher than she thought. I would never want the polite kid to feel shortchanged because she didn't realize she could ask for more. Update. I-19 male recently found out that my older sister, 34 female, is actually my biological mother. Original post. My older sister, let's call her Rose, and I have a great relationship since I was a baby. We were raised with an amazing adoptive family and she has always taken care of me. I grew up in a very warm and loving environment, but from what I was told, I was lucky. I was told the story of how me and my sister had two drug addict parents who never took care of us. They never bothered feeding us and used to left us at a junkie friend's house for days to go out partying. When my mom was pregnant with me, she smoked and got drunk. Luckily, I turned out pretty fine. And when I was born, my sister was the only one who took care of me. When I was 2 months old, they left us both in a mall and left. We got help from an old couple, who also turned into our adoptive family, and we contacted the police but my parents weren't at the house, which looked like a homeless cave. We never saw them again, and after several months in foster care, the couple that helped us, throughout the whole way by the way, agreed to adopt us. Today I'm 19 and Rose is 34. I still live with my adoptive family and she lives about 20 minutes away, so I come and visit her at least 3 to 4 times a week. So a couple of months ago, my friend offered me to take a DNA test to find some information about my heritage, since my sister wouldn't speak of them much. After the results came in, I found out some pretty interesting things. Like being 50% Ashkenazi Jew, and I found out later that I had an aunt 33 female in the system. I immediately reached out to her, let's call her Janet, and we agreed to meet in person. All that without telling Rose a thing. When we met up, I could see we have some similar characteristics like same hair color and same eyes. We tried to figure things out. So I asked her if she has a brother or sister, and she told me that when she was 13, her 14-year-old sister got pregnant while being drunk with her junkie boyfriend, and a month after giving birth, she ran away with the baby after some pretty intensive fights with her parents. They never found her and stopped looking after 1.5 years. I connected the dots, asked to see a picture of her, so we went to her parents' house. The mom wasn't home, and father died 3 years ago. When I saw the picture, I knew. This was Rose, 100%. Rose is my mom. We were never abandoned. We didn't have junkie parents, and she fabricated the entire thing to me and our adoptive family. I immediately gave Janet a hug and told her that it's too much for me right now and asked her to keep it a secret for now. I went to my best friend's house, told him everything, and for a week now I'm sleeping over at his place. I told my parents and my sister that I'm at his house because he bought a new game that we both wanted for a long time and avoided talking to Rose much. I can't look her in the eyes right now, let alone tell her I know the truth. What the heck am I supposed to do? How should I handle this? Should I tell her I know? Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Keep in mind your aunt was 13 and her view is probably heavily colored by her parents' representation of what happened. Please update us when you can. In my opinion, your sister/mom did what she needed to do in order to make sure she could keep you safe, allow you to grow up normally, have good role models as parents to set good examples for you, and also allow her to stay by your side during your life so she could somehow help raise you/see you grow. What else was she supposed to do given her situation? She was a mom at a young age, but a mom nevertheless. And when maternal instincts kick in, you cut out the things standing in your way from doing what you think is best for your baby. She probably knew her parents would make her give up the baby, something she clearly didn't want. She probably was afraid of the baby being around its father if he was a junkie, which is understandable. And she understood that if she wanted a better life for her child and be involved in the child's life, she needed to get away from people who would try to control her and force her to go down a path she didn't want to go down. Regardless, it sounds like Opie had a good family and support system. It sounds like Opie's real mom got her crap together. She was allowed to turn a new leaf, and the reason she changed her whole life's trajectory was for this baby who is Opie. Do you know how painful it must have been to never say you're the mother of your own child? Everything she did for Opie. I understand it's very confusing right now, but you grew up in a better situation than you would have if she didn't lie. I think it's smart of her to say she's the sister and not the mom. They may not have adopted her if she was the young mom of this baby. She would have potentially lost Opie otherwise. Sounds like she did the best she could for you under the worst conditions. She stayed in your life and protected you. You said you were raised with love and compassion. You could have had a horrible childhood, but you didn't. It's not ideal, but it's not terrible either. You should talk about it with her. I agree. I mean, people are judging her and fail to realize this girl was 14 years old. 14. She did the best she could with her situation. Seriously, this is a person asking for advice. No one should be condemning the mom/sister because it sounds like she tried her hardest in a horrible situation. I sure as hell know I wouldn't have had any idea on what to do if I were in her place. It sounds like she was ashamed of her past and has gotten better but didn't want you to know who she used to be due to the shame. So she made a story up, which is actually probably true in ways, but the mom is her, in order to protect you. I think you should approach this with compassion. She didn't lie to hurt you. She lied because she loved you and hated her past self. It sounds like she dearly loves you and made it incredibly difficult, but right call to give you to an adoptive family so you could have a much better life than she could give. It's a lot to take in, but does it really change that much? You just went from having a loving sister to loving mom, which isn't a big difference, honestly. Many older sister acts like a mother anyways. I think you are gonna be okay. Now for the first update. My best friend just took me out for a movie and a drink. I'm not that drunk right now though. I thank you all so much for your warm replies. Made me look at the situation a bit clearer. I have decided to break it to Rose this week, but I need some time to think about how to tell her I know. I don't know if I should try getting there slowly or just break the news to her somehow. I even considered bringing her sister with me, but I genuinely think she will be pissed. I'll keep updating as soon as I'll decide how to tell her. Right now, going to bed to sleep it over. After seeing some comments asking how the adoption process went, I decided I need to explain some things. First of all, it's worth mentioning that the adoption process wasn't immediate and it took about a year between the time that happy couple found us outside a mall and the time they adopted us. We were in foster care that time and Rose used to keep touch with them and they would come visit us once or twice a week. Or so I'm told. I don't know what to believe now. Eventually, Rose broke down in tears for them and told them she hates foster care and that her little brother, me, would grow up here and she couldn't bear that thought. At the time, they decided to try and adopt her and hired lawyers and stuff, and after a few months it was legal and done. At least that's what I was told. I don't think my adoptive parents knew, but if they did, then that story is probably a lie too. Now for the second and full update. Okay, so I first of all want to thank everyone for your honest replies. It really helped me to get my feelings straight and get ready to confront her. So after a week of avoiding, I came to her house with a picnic basket by surprise, so I'll have a chance to speak with her. She was happy to see me and I told her to sit down because we need to talk. I started things with saying that I know that she has a secret that she's been hiding from me for years. Her face turned red and she started crying like hell. She knew what I was talking about. I told her the story about the DNA test, about Janet, and basically what I told you guys in the last post. Well, after she calmed down a bit, she told me the truth. She told me how she got drunk at a party and slept with one of the jerks who does nothing but tweet every day. He didn't really care about a future kid and was like, yeah, whatever. Apparently, she found out that 10 years ago he was stabbed in prison after sitting for dealing, assault and armed robbery. She told me how her mother used to convince her father to talk me out of the idea of keeping the baby. They would constantly fight with her. When the baby was born, they told her on the spot that she brought shame upon the family, and they will not help raise the baby in any way, meaning she will have to work meanwhile to have money for her baby and sometimes for herself. After a couple of months loaning from her friends and juggling between work and taking care of me, she had a huge fight with her parents and told them that if they are not helping financially and barely in any sort of way, she and me are better off without them. As they sent her to her room, she escaped in the middle of the night, hitchhiked to a neighboring county, and by morning she was already there. She tried to take care of me for a few days. She found an old abandoned house that used to have homeless people coming around every now and then, and she took me to the mall when I started crying. She started crying too. The couple that adopted us immediately came to our aid and asked if we lost our mother. Rose jumped on the opportunity and came up with a story and an alias. Police figured out we are not in the system for multiple reasons. We were raised in foster care for a year and a half until the couple that helped us decided to make the effort and adopt us so we won't be separated. It took them a few months and a couple of lawyers, but they managed to adopt us both. Rose knew all along that her parents are looking for her. They came to their senses after a day or so. She reached out to them and told them in a letter that she's fine and is taking care of herself and me, she's not homeless, and found a nice couple to help her with a baby. She made it clear for them that she's never coming back, and they should stop looking, and a month after that they stopped. A few years later, her father went on a quest to find her. She was past 18, secretly. After so much time searching, he found her and apologized, and after a while she forgave him and kept secretly in touch with him. He met me a few times, and I knew him as one of Rose's old friends from the park. He helped us a few times, and apparently they would meet up once every 2 months secretly. Ironically, I'm glad I got to know him before he passed, even if I didn't know who he really is. By the way, the adoptive family never found out about the whole thing. So after hearing this, I told her we missed a lot by not knowing she is my mother, and I told her I understand she did the right thing. I pulled out an "It's a boy" sign from the picnic basket and some snacks for a late baby shower, and we hugged for an hour or so. Had a lot of fun, watched a movie, and I headed off to my adoptive parents' house to have dinner with them. I'm glad she is my mother. I feel, for the first time in years, complete. I don't care that she lied, because she did it for the greater good, and I honestly can't imagine my life right now if she didn't. Thanks guys for helping me getting my feelings straight and helping me out mentally to cope with everything that happened. So, did they ever tell the adoptive parents? I remember this one. They didn't. The adoptive parents raised both of them, so they're still mom and dad. Probably for the best, to be honest. The adoptive parents never found out that a homeless 14-year-old with a newborn baby was an obvious teen mom. I hope he's hilarious. Of course they knew she was a teen mom lying her butt off. Why would they confront a 14-year-old over her obvious statutory rape if she wanted to hide from the stigma of being a teen mom and claim the newborn was her brother? Opie's gonna have a shock once he finds out that it takes more than a month to heal from childbirth. And that everyone knew his 14-year-old sister was a teen mom who was lying about it. Exactly. They might not know her full story, but they are aware that she was lying to keep her son and herself safe. They knew enough to know she was in desperate need of help. Adopting them both so they can help her recover and avoid re-traumatizing her by having her baby taken away for replacement? That's a hero move right there. They're quality parents. Now for the last story. How do I tell my sister her toxic marriage is why I don't hang out with her anymore? I, 38 female, am having trouble being there for my sister, 32 female, and I'm not sure how to tell her why. I'm about 2 years out of a 17-year marriage that ended extremely badly. We had issues throughout the relationship, as well as a lot of fun, but the last couple years he was intensely controlling, abusive, and violent. And since he left, I've done a lot of work to recover and get myself in a healthy headspace. My sister went through a rough patch around the same time my divorce started, and I learned way too much about her husband, 37 male, during that period to ever trust him again. They've been together for years, and while he's never been my family's favorite, because he's an insufferable know-it-all, dominates every conversation and generally pretty annoying, we all just dealt with it because she loved him and we're adults. But since their rough patch, I haven't been able to be around him. During that time, he served her with divorce papers and told her he was going to take their 1-year-old baby away and never let my sister see her again. He convinced my sister she would lose in court anyway, to the point that her plan was to give up, sign all the paperwork he gave her, and leave their baby while she moved out of state with our other sister. This all sounds bad, but my sister is extremely naive and also has the worst anxiety I've ever seen. She was convinced she'd lose their baby no matter what, and she was so broken down she didn't have it in her to fight. Anyway, she told me this plan and I successfully talked her out of it, got her a great lawyer, and she was on her way towards accepting their divorce and rebuilding her life when he suddenly changed his mind. And they reconciled and have been acting like everything is fine ever since. During their eventually canceled divorce, my sister was terrified of being homeless and not having anywhere to go. I was starting over too, so our plan was that I'd buy a triplex, and she and her baby could live in one of the units, me in one, and our little brother, 22 male, in the third one. I went ahead with that plan, and have just been renting out my sister's unit and let her know it's there if she needs it. I cannot be around my sister's husband at all. I've seen behind the scenes. I know he's mistreating her emotionally, financially, and I strongly suspect physically too, although she'd never admit it. I am aware that the right thing to do here is support her decision and grin and bear his company, but I can't do it. I get that it's immature of me, but the situation is too much like my own marriage, and I won't be within 100 feet of it. I especially don't want him in my new home, which for 2 years has been a happy, healthy, peaceful, safe zone. My sister basically won't leave the house without this man because of her anxiety and also his control issues, and they are literally always together. She posted on Instagram a few weeks ago about being sad and confused about why her family never spends time with her anymore. I'd like to gently explain the situation to her, but I'm not sure how to tactfully say, "It's not you, it's your awful husband we can't stand." Looking for advice on how to softly tell her I'm here if she needs me, but that I'm unwilling to be around her husband. Now for the advice. This is tricky because right now she's in a dangerous phase. The phase where they've reconciled and it's them against the world. Understand first and foremost, anything you say right now will get back to him. My suggestion is to make it clear that you simply want to spend time with just her. Don't say it's an issue with him. Become a broken record and let her make the connection. It's really important to me that you and I can spend time together, just us. Can you find an opportunity for that? She's gonna push. You don't like him? And that's when you say, nope, that's not it. Nothing to do with him. It's really important to me that you and I have opportunities to spend time together. Just us. Keep him out of it. Will it be very obvious that he is the problem? Yes. Can you afford for those words specifically to get back to him? Nope. You lose them both. She will follow him because you'll become the enemy. Ask after him. He's good? Good to hear it. Call her for catch-ups. Make it clear you want the relationship with her. This is not about him, even though, of course it is. As time goes on and they go into different phases of this cycle, you'll be able to address things more directly. For now, I'd start here. I think this is a very grounded way to do it, and probably the best. Of course, it's about him, but what you are after is to strengthen your relationship with your sister. And taking it day by day, becoming a part of each other's life, will ease you both into coming closer and remind you how precious your bond is. And it will also maybe remind her of who she is, where she comes from, who she is without him.